Veggin with Mr. Klotzman.
Hello and welcome to Veggin with Klotzman. I'm Ian. It's time to get cooking. Now the whole point of this show is hopefully to inspire some of y'all to try cooking some different things, to try some different vegetables that you may have never had before, or maybe you've always just had them kind of boiled and gross. So we're going to try some different recipes. I am not a professional chef, nor have I ever been trained. I am just a fat man who loves to eat healthy. I know, we're a rare breed. But before we do anything, we wash our hands. Now we've got some nice clean hands. Now we're ready to cook. So for this episode, we're going to cook Brussels sprouts. Now, I know a lot of you think, oh my God, Brussels sprouts, they're disgusting. They're these little tiny balls of gross. But I would have to say that if we cook them correctly, they're actually quite delicious. So they become little balls of delicious instead, which if you're going to have little balls in your mouth, they might as well be delicious. Now, you're going to need a packet of Brussels sprouts. You're going to need one shallot. A shallot's kind of like an onion, except it was so good. It's kind of like if a garlic and an onion had a beautiful baby. Shallot. You're going to need some pecans, or pecans if you're wrong. Some craisins, right? And then the secret ingredient. Now, I know this doesn't necessarily make the meal healthy, but it's so delicious. You're going to need some bacon, okay? Now, don't be afraid of bacon. Bacon is your friend. Now, I like to go with peppered bacon for this recipe. If you want to use something different, you go right ahead. But I have found that if you get the thicker cut bacon, it works really, really well. All right, let's get the prep work. All right, so here we are ready to prep our vegetables. But here's the first thing I want to talk about, safety. You'll notice that my cutting board has these little rubber things on it, kind of keeps it steady. If your cutting board does not have little rubber doodads to keep it in place, I suggest putting a little damp paper cloth underneath, and that should help keep things stable. Now, we have this beautiful little friend of ours, the Brussels sprout. And you know what? If you just cook it like this, I find it doesn't taste as good. We don't really get into the greatness of the Brussels sprout, so we're going to cut it up. Now, when you are ready to cut, make sure that you hold your knife properly. You want to make sure that you are in control of your knife. Second, I find that if you use your hand kind of like a claw, you are less likely to cut yourself. Look at that. Nice and safe. See? Nice and safe. Now, we have cut off the end of the Brussels sprout, but here's where the magic happens. Now we're going to also cut it in half. And by cutting it in half, we get to all the deliciousness in the middle when we start cooking. So again, you take your knife, make sure you've got a good control on it. I like grabbing mine up here, so I have good control of the knife. If I have it like this, kind of, see, look, it's already trying to get away from me. Hold it like this, and you have nice control. You take your hand, you do kind of a claw motion. So look, your knuckle is up here against the knife, not your finger. That's how you cut yourself, right? You cut off the bottom, then you cut it in half. Bam. Right, so we're just gonna knock that out real quick. Boom, and boom, boom. Oh, see, I didn't use my claw that time because I forgot. A little claw action. Now, if you are somebody who knows more than me, and you're like, man, you're cutting those all stupid, and you don't know what you're doing, well, please keep in mind that I am not a professional. And if you know more, please tell me in the comments better ways I can do things. I am also a learner, and I would love to know more about best practices in the kitchen. So if you have any tips or tricks in the kitchen, please let me know. Now, as you can see, I am cutting these in half, and then I'm putting them in a little bowl over here. That way I'm keeping my space nice and tidy. Remember, a tidy kitchen makes the food taste better. And if you disagree, it's because you're wrong. So make sure that you keep your spaces nice and, clean, right? Again, checking your fingers, making sure that you are not putting your fingers in harm's way. Nothing makes your food taste worse than a cut finger. Okay, and the last one here. So there we go. Now we have all this. We can just push it over here. Now, let's talk about the shallot. We're probably not going to use the whole thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just kind of cut the end off here. And cut the end off here. You can see it's kind of broken up into little pieces, so you can kind of usually figure out where those pieces are. I probably actually only need maybe this much of it. So I'm going to peel off all this fun shalloty skin, or whatever you want to call it. Fun shalloty skin. Look at you, shallot skin. You're gross. We don't need you. Okay, so here we have the shallot. As you can see, it looks a lot like an onion. And what I'm going to do, again, I'm using the claw. I'm going to grab my knife so it's sliced. And I'm just going to simply do a little bit of a slice here. I'm not really wanting these to be small or chopped. I just want to slice it. Okay? And there we go. We have our shallot slices right here. We have our Brussels sprouts cut in half in the bowl, ready to go. Now for the fun part. We cook the bacon. All right, so here we have our bacon in a skillet. It's on medium-high heat, and we're letting it get kind of heated up. Again, I'm using kind of a thicker cut bacon. I'm using peppered bacon because I think it tastes really nice. I'm using 4 slices. You'll kind of want to use maybe more if you're cooking more Brussels sprouts. And you'll see why here in a second. What we're going to do is we're going to let this bacon cook down. We're going to let the fat render, which means the fat is going to liquefy. We're going to take the bacon out of here, and then we're going to kind of cook the Brussels sprouts just a little bit in that bacon fat. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Healthy? I'm not sure. Probably not, but you want to do this in a healthier way. What you can do is, instead of cooking bacon, you can toss your Brussels sprouts in oil and balsamic vinegar, and it's almost as good. It's pretty close to being as good. The bacon way is so good though. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to let this just sit. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm not going to try to get it with my tongs. I'm just going to let it cook. Okay? Now, while that's cooking, you might want to grab a plate, put some paper towels on it so you can catch the bacon in there once it's done rendering out all that goodness. Now, while this is cooking, I've also got my shallots ready to go. I've got my Brussels sprouts in and their little bowl ready to go. As you can see, the idea again is to keep things organized, and that way you know where things are. You're not rushing around, especially when you have hot surfaces like this. We don't want to be non-prepared for anything that might happen. Especially bacon, because bacon is delicious, but it will fight back when you're cooking. So be ready for that. While this is cooking, you may also want to grab a small casserole dish. I've got a Pyrex one, a glass one. And I'll also make sure that your oven is set to 350. 350. Okay, the bacon's been on the pan for about, I'm going to say maybe 2 or 3-ish minutes. And I'm starting to notice some beautiful kind of, just beautiful. I mean, how else do you describe that? That's beautiful. Once you see the beauty start to come out of the bacon, I go ahead and I start to flip it. Right? And it makes that great sound like, oh, thank you. Thanks for flipping me. You got it right, man. That's how you know. Right? So, again, you set your oven to 350. You're cooking your bacon. Now is when the fun begins. You want to start watching this pan for that rendered bacon delicious fat, okay? We're going to use that to our advantage on the Brussels sprouts. So again, you just keep your eye on this bacon. Watch for what I like to call the beauty, because it's beautiful. Yeah. All right. That bacon's doing its thing. We're excited. Again, you'll notice I've got my Brussels sprouts over here ready to go. I've got the vessel with which I'm going to catch the bacon right here. Everything's close by. Keep it conformed. You don't want your plate on the other side of the kitchen. You don't want your Brussels sprouts over in the bedroom. You need everything close by so when it's time to go, you can do it. All right, now, the fun begins. So, I'm seeing a lot of that bacon fat in the pan. I'm seeing a lot of the beauty on the other side. I think this bacon is ready to go. Now, if you want it a little crispier or whatever, I wouldn't get too crazy because this is going to go in the oven. So if you want it like super duper like black, you just leave it on a little longer. Oh man, just God bless America. That's all I got to say right there. That is, I mean, that's what we're fighting for, ladies and gentlemen, right there. That is great. Okay, so I'm going to put that again on my plate that has the paper towels. That paper towel is going to kind of help wick away any excess fat because there's already plenty of fat, I think, in this pan. My oven is ready, as you can hear. So now we come to the scary part, or perhaps what I would call the important part. We've got to put cold or kind of lukewarm Brussels sprouts in hot bacon fat. Now, some people probably have a great way of doing this. My favorite way is to just scream like a little girl. Ah! Ah! Oh, yeah! Oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah. Kind of gets you a little bit, but you know. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these Brussels sprouts, I'm going to put them flesh down, okay? That way all this delicious, delicious bacon fat can get to the middle of that Brussels sprout. Because that's what it's all about. Brussels sprouts. Yay, yay. All right, here we go. Again, I'm kind of flipping them over. I'm getting... Now, the idea here isn't to cook the Brussels sprout, but to kind of let the Brussels sprouts soak in that bacon fat. Okay? Now again, I'm seeing a lot of things that don't sound healthy. Just keep in mind that Brussels sprouts are good for you. And if you put them in bacon fat, that doesn't take away the goodness. It just adds more goodness. You know, but maybe not traditional goodness. So, I'm going to let these just kind of soak it up. This is not going to take very long. This is maybe going to take 30 seconds. But again, as you can see, I've got all the Brussels sprouts facing down. That bacon fat is getting sucked up into the sprout, creating what I like to call good times. I think the Japanese call it umami. But, you know, I'm not Japanese, so it's good times. And I can kind of tell when this is done when I don't really see a whole lot of bacon fat anymore. That's all it takes. I'm seeing a pretty dry pan now. So, but you know how you can really tell? Let's check the bottom one. Oh my gosh. Do you see that? See that beauty right there? Man, that's beautiful. I think these are ready to come off the heat. So, we cut the heat. Very carefully, we're going to take the bowl they were in, and we're just going to let them go right back into that bowl, okay? Just right back in that bowl. This pan has done its job. Thank you, pan. You are the best. Okay, now we move on to stage 3, prep for the oven. Oh, this is so exciting. Now, we're going to put all of our ingredients together to make our delicious Brussels sprout casserole, I guess you call it. Not really casserole, but who cares? All right, so first we have our Brussels sprouts. fresh off of the skillet. You can see, oh man, I mean, really, look at that. Look at all that. I mean, look, if you've never had a good Brussels sprout before, just wait till you have these, okay? Now, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my shallots. And you know what? I actually probably have too many. So I may take less than what I have. I'm just going to kind of ruffle them up in here into the sprouts, okay? All I'm saying, I've got these little things. I'm just kind of, see, look at that. You know what? If you're coming to this show for technical jargon, you're not going to get it because I don't know it. But, of course, please, tell me what you think I need to know, because I love learning as well. So if you are someone who does know the technical term for deely, well, then by all means, please comment on the video and tell me. Or if you're seeing things like, hey, I like this, I like what you're doing, you should try this. I think that's great. I love it. All right, so next, our bacon. Now look how good that. I'm just gonna see all the beauty on that? See all the gorgeous? This is going to be some great bacon. Now, you have some options on how to put this bacon in. You can, you can chop it up. You can whatever. If you got like a slap chopper, you can kick its butt and all these things. What I like to do actually is just take some shears, some kitchen shears, and I just like to cut it. And so I get these kind of little bacon strips, right? Delicious little bacon strips right into the bowl with the Brussels sprouts and the shallots, okay? Right in there. And you know what? I don't think we're going to need all 4 of these, which is maybe one of the best problems you can have in the kitchen. You know what you do when you have too much bacon and you made too much? You just, just put it right, yeah. Man, that's good. Thank you to whoever was like, you know what, bacon's great, but what if we put a bunch of black pepper on it? Whoever did that, you're my hero, and I love you. And, if I wasn't married, I'd say we should go get coffee. All right, so I'm just going to put two slices of bacon here. Again, I've cut them into little tiny bacon strips. We have bacon, we have Brussels sprouts, and we have shallots, okay? So all I'm going to do now is mix this up. Now, I'm going to use my hands, but if you're like, I don't like putting my hands and stuff, you can use your tongs, you can use a spoon, so whatever makes you happy. I like getting my hands in there. I have no real reason for this other than I think it's a lot of fun, okay? Now, we have all these good things in here. I mean, look at that. You're going to enjoy these Brussels sprouts if you make them. Don't let me have all the fun. You should make some Brussels sprouts too. That's what this is all about. Getting people who aren't comfortable in the kitchen, getting in their kitchen, trying something new. You don't have to be a famous chef. Now, we're going to take our casserole dish here. And look how easy this is. Boom, right? No science. I didn't measure it out to make sure I got, just throw the Brussels sprouts, the shallots, and the bacon into the pan. I'm going to kind of move them around. Now again, you don't like using your hands when you cook, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? All right, so I just wash my hands again, because now that I've had my hands in here, I don't want to put my hands in here after having them in here. My hands will not touch this again. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some pecans. Now again, you can call them whatever you want, so long as you understand that they're called pecans. All right, just a little bit. I like kind of the broken up ones. I'm just going to kind of, again, just kind of let them go throughout, okay? Now, you might be asking yourself, why aren't you also mixing these in the middle? I find that when I mix the pecans and the craisins in, they sink to the bottom and then they kind of stay in one place, okay? So here we have some craisins. Now you might be thinking, craisins, that's crazy. But it really isn't. These are really delicious and they taste really good in this casserole, okay? Now, we have one last thing we are going to do. And I do this in almost every single recipe that I do. I'm going to put just a little bit of salt and pepper on this, okay? Now look, maybe you don't want salt. Maybe you're thinking there's already pepper on the bacon. Why do you need more? Because I like it. It's that easy. You know what? You don't like it, then you don't do it. No, I'm not coming over to your house to eat this. Maybe, I don't know. You can call me if you want. I might come over. It's all about you. You do you. You know what? You want some cayenne pepper on this? Go for it. That'd be great. If you're thinking, man, I'd love some like fresh herbs and spices, do it. Try new things. That's what this is all about. I'm going to put a little pepper and a little bit of salt on this, and it's going to go in my oven, the 350-degree oven, for 30 minutes. Hey, look at this. I just took it out of the oven. It took about 27 minutes to do the whole 30 minutes because it's kind of a smaller batch. But here's the thing. When you're cooking in the oven, don't open your oven. You're going to let all that good hot air out. It doesn't help. So have a look at how good this looks. Man, you got bacon in there. You got the shallots. You got the pecans and the craisins. Add just a little bit of sweetness to everything. It's delicious. But look at these Brussels sprouts. See, you were afraid of this. You were like, Brussels sprouts? That sounds absolutely terrible. But man, look what we were able to accomplish. Look at how good that looks. Doesn't that just look amazing? You put this whole thing together, it is a great side dish. You can make a good meal. And let me tell you, man, it tastes so good. That's a good Brussels sprout. Hey, this has been Veggin with Mr. Klotzman. I hope you'll have like a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching. Comment what you would like to see next time. This is Klotzman saying goodbye. I hope you have a nice day.